laps on 2 strokes. This is what we wanted. Let's go racing in straight rhythm. Side by side, they're going nuts.
Welcome back to Straight Rhythm. An incredible night of racing. So many things. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and be like, wait, what happened? I mean, Travis Pastrana's backflips, etc. But an incredible final. Ken Roczen getting the win. And we're going to go and visit with Kate right now, who is with young Brandon Hartranft, the pride of King, New Jersey, our runner-up.
An impressive run for Brandon, an impressive evening for Brandon, more or less. You know, it's been fun to watch you progress here today. You actually just said you think you did pretty good. I would say that. You're a rookie here at the event. This is your first time with a factory team, and you're coming away with a second against, as you said, the Prodigy. How would you really summarize the evening here?
I had a plan all week was to at least get on the podium and try my best and try to win, but no, I'm very happy. Just blessed, to be honest, with this whole Troy Designs Red Bull KTM team. And honestly, today was a lot of fun. We don't ever get to ride 2 strokes, and yeah, it was definitely sick sounding for the fans and everybody. And everybody was awesome today. So yeah, it was pretty sweet to ride up against Roczen, but I knew to beat him was going to be very hard. But all in all, it was a really good day.
What did you have to prove out there today, especially with this being your first time out with the factory team?
Just prove that I can do it. I've been on not as so much of a factory team the last 2 years, and we got really good equipment on this team. And I know I'm personally a really good rider, so with the right equipment, I think I could do really good. So
I think he proved that tonight. Sal?
Thank you very much, Tina. I am joined now by the squad, and I think we're all just trying to comprehend what we saw tonight. Langston, Wagon, Dixon, how would you rate our 2019 Straight Rhythm?
It's always a little dangerous because the race is so unpredictable. It's designed to be that way.
Right.
So that you never know if you're going to get the story you want or the story you don't. But first of all, honestly, that Maxxis Showdown, it brought probably even better stories than we imagined, with Pastrana backflipping and still winning a run.
I mean, for this guy at 35 years of age, right? I mean,
36 next week, by the way.
Way to welcome him up. I'm sure he's stoked on that. But when you think about Travis, he's been on our radar for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so now it's kind of weirdly he's the old guy, and he's up against a person who's doing this every week, inside and out. And for Bowers, he almost really got his lunch handed to him.
Yeah,
with backflips.
He had to step it up there. Yeah. I think he was getting a little worried. Yes.
Well, we were talking a little bit about, like, beforehand, you know, like Bowers, like, hey, should I make this interesting or do something interesting to keep this close? No, he didn't. Travis did it himself.
We're having a look here at the podium, and Ken Roczen about to hoist it up on the top. I had Jeff Emig up here earlier, and he said when we were in the break, he said, it's cool to finally see what McGrath's setup looked like from the front, because I was always used to seeing it only from the back. So he's like, now I know what the outfit looks like from the front.
Good. That's pretty good. So, hey, that's a fitting story as well, that Roczen on, not a replica, but actually Jeremy McGrath's bike, wins the event. And you got to feel that atmosphere down there, Tina, interviewing the winners. And it was a perfect, like, young guy, old bike, new bike, a good combo down there.
I mean, it was just awesome all around. You know, you guys talked about that 500 match, and the crowd was so incredibly loud when Travis and Tyler crossed that finish line. And then they just continued to be loud throughout the night. But you're right, just that matchup at the end, Young versus the experience. And you know what? Brandon was just like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my thing.
Doesn't seem to worry about much, that's for sure.
No. It's interesting that you mentioned crowd. I think the fact that we've got the names that came out this year, the people decided to come out as well, and they got such a show, especially in the 500s, as we said at the start here, this post show. Let's take a look at the highlights. We're going to take you through highlights from all 3 races, because all 3 were insane.
So we were wondering if Travis would choose style or speed. He decided to, yes, backflip in a run. That's not the fastest way to do it, but it almost didn't matter.
Yeah, well, the funny part is he goes, it was just easier with the speed I kept. I'm like, bro, nobody ever says that except Travis Pastrana, and then right there, just typical Travis style, using every inch of the racetrack, gets that first W out of the way.
This is race 2. I think Bowers then knew, I got to really take this seriously, and he was a lot better this time. But then those whoops, you never knew when it came down to the end.
No, and even when I was talking to Tyler earlier before the race, he goes, I don't know what this bike is going to do. I mean, it has its own mind. This thing is not meant for this type of racing.
That's a really good point, actually. They weren't jumping jumps this big or doing whoops this big in the era that 500 that Bowers is running did. So he was literally scared he was going to snap the bike.
Well, these bikes weren't built for this. So they really were in uncharted territory there. And Bowers right there, that's what made the difference. He was absolutely flawless through that whoop section at the end. That's Travis's, always been his ammo. Just pin it through the whoops, make up the time. Bowers took that away from him.
Yeah,
that was the difference in the end.
He decided to do the Travis and lean back. But, but I think
easier.
This is another example, I think, for all of us where you think to yourself, like, overall, pound for pound, Travis Pastrana is perhaps the greatest in the history of mankind on 2 wheels.
For sure, when it's showtime and it's go time,
Right.
You know, a lot of people shrink from the moment. He becomes larger than life when it really matters, and I think it probably surprised Bowers a little bit too. This guy can still go.
Real life superhero.
Yeah.
Bowers gets to retain his pride. We'll take a look at the 125 highlights right now.
So we didn't know really how to call this one. Not as many big established names in the 125 class, and it kind of worked that way all the way to the end.
Well, I was really bummed not to see Jared Stinky make the finals. I know that he wanted to make the finals as well, and he always puts on a good show. But I was really impressed with Max Voland up until that very end, you know, that tough crash there at the end. But Joey Crown, I mean, wow.
Yep, up against Michael Lieb here in the final. It was so close. Crown was really good in the whoops, GL.
Yeah, he was strong everywhere actually all night. You watch him out of the box, he was good. The first section, which is the doubles, he was clean there every time. The tabletops, even the Dragon's back. That next rhythm, he never made a mistake, and the whoops just solid. I mean, and that's the thing. If you don't have a weakness or make that big mistake, it really puts the pressure on the other rider to have to do something spectacular. And then a lot of times they try too hard, and guess what? You know, they make a mistake.
There's something about this setup that it doesn't. I was out. This is going to sound like a weird reference, but I was out at the Freshwater Pro, the surfing event at Kelly Slater's Wave.
Yeah.
And what makes that event special is that you can't hide. Any of your flaws on that wave show up exposed, and you're done. And it's a similar thing that happens here at Straight Rhythm. It's just this one. It seems like this one discipline where, like, the littlest thing goes wrong, and it's a wrap for you. You're exposed.
Well, one of the all-time things in motocross is to use the start either as an excuse or a reason why you won. It's done. You can't get buried in traffic. You're either going to beat the guy or lose to the guy, and there's nothing more you can say. There are no excuses at Straight Rhythm. You just get beat or you win.
Yeah, it's straight up speed is what it comes down to. And as you said, talent outshines all those other little excuse elements. That's why guys like Hansen are strong year in, year out. That raw ability.
Well, Ken Roczen, he made little to no mistakes tonight. And we'll take a look at the highlights from the 250s, where I know GL, you were rooting for the underdog, but I just had to go with the money.
Well, you were right. I was just thinking, hey, Hartranft, I'm like, the way he's been riding, I still thought it's definitely the underdog, but he could make it happen. But then again, it reminds you why someone like Ken Roczen is known as Ken Roczen. So good, just unreal.
Hartranft made a little mistake in the first one. He came back and was almost perfect in the second, but Roczen somehow was even more perfect. Can you be more perfect than perfect? Can you be 101%? That was Kenny.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And yeah, for Hartranft, I mean, he's got to walk away from this and be like a huge confidence booster, massive.
No, he's a rookie. This is his first time here at Red Bull Straight Rhythm, and you know, he put on a show. I mean, to come out here, and he really was mistake-free. You know, made a couple mistakes up there against Ken Roczen, but throughout the entire night, though, he looked really strong.
I love that all of the 90s gear and the fun and the trash talking on the front end, but the mindset of these riders, like at a DNA level, once they get in the gate, it's like, Oh no, none of us are here to play, here to win, and the manner in which they pushed each other tonight, really, really special.
We saw throughout the entire event, even yesterday, that big triple quad triple that Hansen did. They were all sizing it up yesterday. And what was funny is you're talking Hansen, who doesn't race full time anymore. Ryan Villopoto doesn't race full time anymore. Travis Pastrana doesn't race full time anymore. And they were the guys playing with it for nothing more than pride and to maybe put on a show for the fans. It's not even their living anymore, but they can't resist when they finally get out there.
Oh, when Billy walked up here, when Billy Light walked up here, he looked crushed. He looked like he had just lost a Supercross race and like suddenly it was 2013, and he was trying to comprehend what had happened. He's like, this is what I came out for.
That, to me, is the biggest what if. Villopoto tried to do that big jump that Hansen did yesterday. He came up so short. He was never quite the same after that. And then Parker Mashburn beat him by, I think, 0.02 of a second to eliminate him. If that hadn't happened, what if Villopoto stayed in the bracket?
Story.
What could he have done? We'll never know.
It was about the racing, but it was also about the swag.
Oh, yeah.
So now we are going to, we're going to pick the swag that we love the most. So who should we start with? Gio? What was your favorite outfit?
For me, it was pretty simple. I feared it back then, and I really appreciate it tonight. I have to go with AJ Catanzaro's Travis Pastrana from 2001 when I had to deal with that guy, because there's a reason that we all rave about him and the Wonder Kid. I was really good, but he was phenomenal. So to beat that guy, that twirly design on his helmet, everyone was like, oh, it's so cool. And I'm like, I hate it. When I look at it, I hate it. But tonight when I watched AJ Catanzaro and I'm like, I'm not lined up next to him, I'm like, I love it. It's perfect. I love the handguards. I love the chest protector. I love the helmet. I love the gear. I loved everything. And I wasn't lined up next to him, even better.
And I love that he actually, he really embodied Travis. Like, all of his movements and what have you,
style.
he looked like Travis.
He said, he goes, I watched footage, and he goes, I know Travis always had those kind of hips rotated and that attack, but long leg, which I don't have. So I look nothing like him, but AJ channeled his inner Pastrana, and I kid you not.
It was cool.
You guys mentioned it earlier. Roxon hit the nail on the head. Travis does not look as like Travis as AJ Catanzaro did tonight.
Pretty cool. Wagon?
I like what Cooper Webb brought. Now, Jeremy McGrath was so dominant in the 90s. We had 3 different riders dressed as Jeremy McGrath. Ken Roxon, Ryan Villopoto went as a Yamaha-era Jeremy McGrath. And then your new Supercross champ raced this for the first time, which was awesome. But the coolest part of the Cooper Webb-McGrath combo to me was that he wears Thor gear now. That was the gear that McGrath had then. So Thor literally took their latest technology gear and made it look absolutely identical to the McGrath gear then. So as far as being spot on, you really can't ask for much more than that. I think Cooper wished he maybe performed a little better. He didn't quite have the McGrath mojo in the races.
He wanted the crown tonight, but he didn't quite get that part.
Well, what we learned is from Webb, the 90s goes back so far now that a lot of these riders, they're not going back to 2-strokes. They're racing them for the first time. And he was a little bit fish out of water, I think, on that bike.
Well, even he talked about, a lot of kids were on 85cc 2-strokes.
Right.
No, he was on the Honda CRF 150, a 4-stroke, what we would call, not a mini bike, but it's a mid-sized bike. So for Webb, definitely a fish out of water.
What a great place to start. Tina?
Well, I'm just going to go, it might not be the combo, but I'm just going to go with Tyler Bowers, because the fact that he showed up on that bike and raced it in this type of environment on this track, I mean, that right there says something. And it was a passion project. It wasn't built for this particular race. He wanted to race it last year, but was injured right before. So he had to wait a full year, and he had that bike sitting there, and it's like, hey, when am I going to get to straight rhythm and finally get to ride? So I'm going to go with Tyler Bowers.
I can't stress enough that they don't even have a 500 Supercross class pretty much ever. They were never, ever thought that you could even ride those and do what they did, and he made it look good.
Let alone backflip them in the middle of the street.
That's another story.
I went for like a weird aesthetics thing.
Okay.
Because I got sucked into Cole Seeley's bike build online.
Okay.
And that dude's level of OCD and style. I imagine what his closet might look like all the way down to every bracket, etc.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right. It is what you think.
He was my favorite. I'm a big fan of his future with Bleach Design work, and then here he is right now for the fans, just being like, let's get this thing down to the rims.
You're right. He is a perfectionist. I mean, I've seen his garage, and then you're like, you can eat off your floor, bro.
Off of it.
So you're right. Cole Seeley, when he does it right, and he does it. He's just got his unique style, and I agree with you. I think that was really cool as well.
I'm a fan. Kate Osborne, we did not forget you, dear sister.
Villo Light,
who's your
anyone?
favorite?
Anybody want a Villa Light right about now? Because that's
can't
my
hear her.
guy here. RV, maybe a disappointing evening for him, but of course this is all about having fun, and he really owned it. He went back with that Jeremy McGrath, his Yamaha 250, and I think he put his little spin, which we all know is a lot of RV, right? One thing that I really liked about his gear and bike combo is the fact that there's a little story behind this. Once he decided this Villa Light thing, he and his wife decided to print labels and put them actually on like 100 different cans and pass them out to his friends and family. I asked him if he had any extra because it would be great after the show, after the show for all of us, but he said no on that one, just so you guys know. However, I thought it was a creative spin on taking it back, making it retro, and so Ryan Villapoto in the Villa Light, it was my choice here tonight. Guys?
Thank you, Kate. Final thoughts.
I've said it before, this is the great equalizer. I think you hit the nail on the head as well by using another terminology. When you've got that produced wave that gives everyone the same blueprint, if you want to call it that, it's up to what you do with it. And once again, you see with a blank canvas, the talented guys being creative, doing their things, the wonder kid, the wonder older guy now, Travis Pastrana,
Wonder
just some
Dad.
of the things, and the youngsters. But it was cool to see current racers, retired guys, and future stars be covered by gaps that were this big. I mean, to me, that's what I think draws us to racing, is those head-to-head battles that you can really treasure. And last year the racing was phenomenal. Once again, Red Bull Straight Rhythm delivered.
Tina?
I mean, I love the fact that we had the throwback to the 90s, correct? And if you looked at some of the ages from some of these riders, and you're like, oh, you weren't even born.
I know you forget, huh?
Oh, you were one. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I asked a lot of them, like, hey, what does it mean to the throwback to the 90s? We're like, well, I heard stories, but so it's just so cool. And then a lot of those riders came out and they represented, like they proved their talent. So yeah, you talk about the talent, but I mean, just overall the 90s, bringing back the 90s, the two-stroke only, and there's an energy about this event that you do not get anywhere. I was talking to the riders about it and you heard it. They're just like, this is just overall just a great fun event.
The sport's just getting better, and that's what happens with any sport. It got more sophisticated. You had Emig on the set talking about Carmichael started training harder. The bikes have gotten better. Everything's gotten better. And obviously better is better in many ways, but I think the fear people have is better, but sometimes it's fun to just think out of the box. And I have to admit, each year, some of the ideas they've tried at this event, I've even said to myself, I don't see how that's going to work. Whether it's Ronnie Mack and Stank Dog, or two strokes, or retired riders racing, or 500s on the track. And every time it seems like this is too crazy, this is too far, it actually ends up working out probably better than they even imagined. So that's what surprises me. Better is better most of the time, but for at least one night, let's do something totally different. Maybe not better, but just different is better tonight.
And I think for me, there is an intimacy about this event and the closeness and the access that the fans have, that it feels like a community track that happens to have the best riders in the world here. And this year it felt amazing. You guys were outstanding tonight. I don't even know how you're still talking
So are you,
with all the
brother.
interviews
As
and
usual.
play-by-play. And another great year at Red Bull Straight Rhythm. And if you want to watch more, make sure you tune in to Fox on January 25th for our Red Bull Signature Series version of Red Bull Straight Rhythm. On behalf of our entire crew, which has worked so hard to put this together, we will see you guys next year.